So in crafting a design brief, one is you want to understand why, and that why becomes the main driving force. But at the same time, that why will also determine the desired outcome.
Welcome to another episode of Stuck in Design. Each week, we pose questions to three founders, Dawn, Jieyu, or Zi, who run award-winning design agency, Stuck. They'll share with us tips and lessons on design, creativity, and business. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Hi, Jieyu.
Hello.
Yeah, so
Mandarin.
today we kind of want to talk a little bit about project briefs,
Okay.
project design briefs. So I guess one question that is interesting for me to find out is that kind of when you're crafting these design briefs for a client versus for yourself as a designer, are there any like significant differences you see between sort of these, I guess, personal passion projects versus a little bit more maybe commercial projects for clients?
I think there are some natural differences. The main one would be for a client, because he or she is representing most likely an organization, and the what do you call it? The starting point or the spark of why, the sparking reason that they wanted to get a designer on board will have been very different from a personal project. So the job becomes to unravel that and to understand why design was needed for the client in the first place from his point of view, and to what outcome does he envision the project or the process to be able to help him with. This is, and I think that's the primary difference, because as a personal project, you have done that unraveling and done that rationalization internally before you have decided to say, I want to do a project around something. But for a client, because you can't read his mind, and also you are unable to maybe have visibility of what made him decide on this project, you need time to unravel that. So the process of crafting just involves a longer or a more deliberate process of unraveling a client's motivations, starting points, and desired outcome. The judgment of so in crafting a design brief, one is you want to understand why, and that why becomes the main driving force. But at the same time, that why will also determine the desired outcome, and that means success criteria or a way to measure the project. And that outcome is also drastically different if it's a personal project versus an organizational or client project. So the why will lead to the what eventually, or what they're expecting. So in crafting a brief, the idea is to be able to minimize the risk of failure and maximize the potential of success based on the client's need. And if it's a personal project, it's the same. You want to minimize the risk, which could be time or resource commitment. You also want to but you also want to maximize the potential success or impact, depending on what your personal project is. And from a client's point of view, it's the same. So you cannot know how to design for success if you do not know why this project was started in the first place. And only then do you start to craft the how. And that is, a lot of time people see the how. Okay, tell me your approach, tell me your process, tell me your phases of this project. But most of the time, the how comes last, because by knowing why and knowing what they are expecting, then only then your how is relevant. And it's the same for any personal project as well, is knowing why you wanted to do it in the first place, and then knowing what impact or what are the outcomes that you desire, be it even impact can also just be because you really want to get known, or you just want to express or you want to say a statement. Impact can also means you want this to influence some kind of people, even on a personal project level. So only by knowing the impact and the why, then the how will be crafted to fit exactly. So I think it's the same thing. Crafting any design project or any project is the same thing, but it differs only because of the starting points and the expectations from an organization and a personal perspective. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today on Stuck in Design. See you next week for more tips on design, creativity, and business.